Loic Bruni, Omri Pierron, Aaron Gwynn, and Finn Isles. What do they all have in common? Well, for one, they're all professional downhill riders, very accomplished in fact. But the second thing that they all share is they all ride 165mm cranks. What's going on, everyone? This is Mike with Gnarly Bear Mountain Biking, and I'm here to tell you that your cranks are too long. Bikes are evolving, and in 2023, many people think that we've arrived at the perfect geometry. The head angle is slacker, the wheelbase is longer, the bottom bracket is lower, and the seat tube angle is steeper. I think that the next evolution in mountain bike geometry will be a shorter crank length. I purchased my mountain bike, a beautiful 2021 Ibis Mojo HD5 in 2020, in size medium. It ticked all the boxes for me at the time. However, the cranks were 175mm. If you look closely at my bike now, you'll see a new set of 5-dev cranks in 165mm. In this video, I'll outline why I switched and why you should switch too. Check out the link in the description if you want to get yourself a pair of these after watching the video. Keep in mind that this video is specific to my favorite disciplines of mountain biking, enduro and downhill. For those disciplines, you are mostly going down the hill as opposed to up the hill. Your cranks play an important role in the fit and the behavior of your bike. Firstly, longer cranks make your pedal stroke longer. It's commonly believed that the additional torque from the longer cranks means more power, but this is just not the case for the everyday mountain biker. We will dig into the science of road biking here to debunk why longer cranks don't mean more power. Huge shout out to Dylan Johnson, one of my favorite YouTubers, for introducing me to this research and making the papers easy to digest. Check him out on YouTube in the link below if you want to learn more about the science of biking. The first study we will look at analyzed riders' maximum power output over 30 seconds using cranks in size 125, 150, 175, 200, and 225mm. Researchers found that the 150mm cranks produced the best results. They also showed that participants with shorter legs perform better on shorter cranks. This is why you see shorter cranks typically come on smaller bikes. However, I think the manufacturers have it all wrong and cranks need to be shorter across the board. Another study we'll look at, I'll call study number 2, tested maximum power production using cranks of 120, 145, 170, 195, and 220mm. The riders in this study produced the most power using a crank length of 145mm. However, it was not a statistically significant difference from the 170mm group. They also found that cranks can vary 83% in length and only differ in maximum power output by a mere 4%. One last finding they had was that the optimal crank length for maximal power production was 20% of leg length, but using 170mm cranks would reduce power by less than 0.5%. For a person with a 30-inch inseam like myself, this means that I should be riding cranks of 152.5mm. You can't even get those from a major manufacturer. Well, Mike, that's just a lot of numbers. I don't care about my power because I only go downhill. I ride bike fast, no pedal. Well, the point of this isn't that you can produce more power on shorter cranks. The point of this is that your crank length really doesn't matter. And if you do want to split hairs, you'll actually be faster on the shorter cranks, not the longer ones, according to the science. If you want to go faster downhill, use the cranks that will be most comfortable to you and give you the most downhill efficiency, not the ones that will produce the most power on the uphills or the flat ground. Next, we'll discuss how crank length affects the geometry of downhilling. These points are quick. Before we start, know that most of these points are theoretical or anecdotal because there really aren't any research studies on the performance of crank length on downhill mountain biking. First, longer cranks decrease your clearance and make pedal strikes more likely. A shorter crank will give you more clearance from the ground. With the ever-lowering bottom bracket on modern mountain bikes, cranks need to adjust to reduce pedal strikes. Let's look at a picture of Omri Pierron, for example. In this picture, he's cornering, and look at how close Omri's pedal is to the ground. Shorter cranks would allow him to lean the bike even further. Longer cranks also stretch out your legs on the bike. Imagine that you're trying to get into a good cornering position where your outside leg is down and your inside leg is up. Again, we'll look at Amri-Pierron here. The longer your cranks are, the more stretched out you will be. Your leg will really have to reach in order to extend all the way to the bottom and get the maximum leverage on the bike. In turn, your crotch might start bumping into the seat, and this can knock you off balance or put you in a position where you can't generate much power. Especially on bikes that aren't designed for pure downhill where the seat might be a bit higher, this can be uncomfortable too. Finally, let's discuss a potential positive of having longer cranks. They reduce your center of gravity when cornering, which should, in theory, allow you to lean the bike more without sliding out and really dig those side knobs into the ground. I believe that this positive is outweighed by the positives of shorter cranks, which are they give you more balance, comfort, and predictability. Again, if we look at this picture of Amri-Pierron here stretching the limits of his bike, longer cranks really wouldn't have helped him here because his pedal would have been touching the ground anyways. Crank length does not significantly affect your power output. However, it does affect your balance on the bike. Shorter cranks are less likely to pedal strike and put you in a more balanced position on the bike. Longer cranks can, in theory, allow you to corner faster, but I believe that shorter cranks provide more comfort, predictability, and balance that would average out to be better over the course of a race season. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe.